Islam, peace. Islam, Islam, Islam. Canaanland Moors class, 25th of December, 7, December 7. Islam to all the Moors. All the Moors with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing. Islam. Islam to all the elders that held it down for the Prophet, didn't front, didn't play games with the birthright. All the elders that gave up all the information, Mukarrabin files, all the minutes for all the conventions that the temple had, all the treasury stuff that was in the temple, right? So Islam to the Moors who were with the Prophet back then and they're still with the Prophet today, 100 years later, still backing him, still repping for the only individual to tell us about our birthright. The only individual, the only individual that ever came and told you what your nationality is and that you have a right to proclaim it. And you better proclaim it. And then he made all these warnings, divine warnings, letters, all this stuff, warning everybody about what's about to come if you don't get down with what Noble Drew Ali told you get down with. Going on right now, right? He came to free us from mental slavery that we have now. He came back then to free us from mental slavery that we have now. And he released all the keys so everybody knows. Nothing is a secret. Everybody knows. And nobody told. So Islam to all the Moors that told. Islam to all the Moors that snitched on these dirty Moors to get them out the way. Islam to all those Moors who saw the documentation that there were Moors in military, Moors who were so-called police, whatever, that used to bring their guns and bring their tanks and bring everything that they got from this European that they were using, all the spooks at the door that were in the temple that used to use whatever they're getting from the European, whatever they were getting, they were using that in order to help the Prophet push forward his divine mission. No questions asked. They were using it. So Islam to all the Moors that, you know what I mean, spoke up and didn't keep this thing hidden. Didn't keep this thing like some club you have to join, get cards and all that. Islam to all the Moors who pulled a Moor to the side and said, yo, you know what? You look like you're on some information or whatever, so here's everything. Do whatever you want with this. And then Islam to those Moors who took it and did something with it. That we today, new Moors, could have some reference points around here with regard to Noble Drew Ali and whatever, because we've been to every school of thought. We're not these dummies that went through Jim Crow and marching and stuff like that. Even though descendants of them are still around today, still marching, picketing and all that, we're not them, right? We're the returned ones. You know when they talk about the generations of the 70s, something's gonna happen or whatever. Okay, well, all that generation of the 70s is what started hip hop. Generation of the 70s is what started everything that's going on right now that anybody says is influential in their life. It's because of the Moors, the dark skinned, nappy head, big nose, big lip people that everybody's afraid of because we're the founders of everything around here. And we're back again. And we're not back as Negro, black, colored fakers. We're back as Moors. We're not back as Hebrew fakers. We're not back as black Asiatic fakers. Moors are back. They're not 1492 Moors. This is the Moors that built the mounds around here. We dug that mound here. We do it. Nobody else. Anybody else, go back to Africa or wherever you say you come from. Moon, planet Risk, whatever. Go back there. Because time's up. Like OC said back then, telling y'all, time's up. You listen to OC. You listen to all these other crap artists that have chains on. And nobody doesn't want to listen to OC. Told y'all time's up. Told you. From back then, hip hop. Nah. So we're gonna give honors to the prophet, because what the hell else are we gonna do but honor the greatness that he did? So this is the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. All right, and we just put it on the record again. Hardcover, right? Hardcover, put out by yours truly, right? Dr. Malachi Zadok L. The Moor. The Moor. Not the fake guy that they have locked up right now. The Moor. Who told all these Nubians that you're Moorish American. Told them, nope, Doc, who these guys revere, the so-called Nuwapian guys, they hold him higher than Noble Drew Ali. Okay, well, how come the guy that you hold up higher than Noble Drew Ali put out a hardcover, just like the Holy Tablets, which is the other holy book or whatever, that has hardcover? Okay, holy book, hardcover. Doc did that. So all you fakers that like to come to Moorish Science Temple of America in Canaanland, right, on Friday nights, because Cujo doesn't do the Friday night classes, you know what I mean? So we're going to go to the Friday night class to try to infiltrate through other Moors who, you know, since these are the kind-hearted Moors, they're not hard like Cujo, right? Will you try to use them to try to get in through the back door, you know what I mean? When you don't know that we have added meetings, we've been discussing you guys for months, and you guys fell for the bait, and you're still sitting in the trap. You're sitting in the trap on the cheese, and the thing's about to come on you, and I'm telling you that the thing's about to come on you. Just so you know, since you like to only go to Friday classes, and you don't like to come to Sunday class. But then, you know, when you come to Friday class, you're going to bring your little Nuwapian infiltrators to come and talk about Noble Juali is this and Noble Juali is that. He didn't know what he was talking about and all that. So, and now you got the stuff, you know, because you brought your little agent, right? All you agents out there, time's up, right? See you in the back, and we about to carry out what's supposed to be carried out. Simple as that. So Malachi York, hardcover, Circle 7 Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So all you Nuwapian fakers that don't want to recognize Noble Drew Ali, you want to talk crap about your Nuwapians, but you're not Moorish American, you guys are fakers. Because your own leader put out a Holy Quran Circle 7 hardcover, and you don't even have that. And you're Nuwapian. You say you honor him. You don't have this? How come I have this and I'm not Nuwapian? I'm not Nuwapian. I do not claim to be Nuwapian. I don't have nothing to do with Nuwapian. I don't know who the hell Malachi York is. That's some European name guy. Nothing, no different than Dred Scott, Michael Brown, whoever else. All these guys who have European name, right? All these European Moors, dark-skinned people who don't want to recognize who they are. The Nuwapian version of those guys, the fakers, have a leader that put out the same book that Noble Drew Ali put out for the Moors, who've been telling y'all that y'all Moors that you don't want to listen to, right? So since today is 25th, you know, we're just going to deal with 7 today. We're just going to beat up on 7 just to show people that Noble Drew Ali knew what he was talking about, and it's not no game, right? So on top of the fez right there, you can see the 4 circles, right? And the 4 circles have circles. There's circles within the 4 circles. 3 circles, right? And 3 and 4 is 7. Okay, and then there's circle 7, and there's circle 7. And Noble Drew Ali knew exactly what he was talking about, knew exactly what he was doing. All these fakers out here that want to pretend like, you know, they don't know what's up because they have some position or whatever in some organization, but they don't want to tell people about their birthright. When Noble Drew Ali laid it all out. So today is 7 day. So we're just gonna kill 7 today, just because, you know, everybody is supposed to be free from mental slavery that they have now. Why do you still have mental slavery 2014 and Noble Drew Ali came 100 years ago to free you from mental slavery? You don't think there's a problem? Nobody else came and said, yeah, you know, I'm here to save you from mental slavery that you have. Nobody else came and said that. But y'all listen to those people who never said that. And the individual who said that, and you're complaining too that you're under mental slavery. It's not even a secret. You're Negro, black, colored, African, whoever people are claiming that they've been under mental slavery, as well as physical slavery. And somebody came to free them from that, but they don't want what he brought. They want everybody else's stuff. They want CIA agent stuff. They want Kwanzaa. Which, you know, don't forget tomorrow's first day of that. We already beat that up. Karenga and all the crap. Leave it alone. You know what I mean? Leave it alone. That's not your birthright. That's some CIA informant crap that they want people to follow to keep them in mental servitude. Why? Because right now it's it's a mental terrorism going on. Not physical terrorism. They already know that it's not about the physical. You know what I mean? They know that it's spiritual. Well, people getting shot up in police cars and stuff like that. There's nothing. People getting, you know, kidnapped and they ought to, you know, sit in cells and stuff like that. That's not what it's about right now. It is spiritual time right now. It is spiritual time right now. The switch has been flicked. Right? It's on right now. And everybody's seeing it. Everywhere you can't Amor text me today. Amor text me today. Right? He's watching Sanford and Son. And on Sanford and Son, there's something about somebody gets arrested or whatever, or whoever gets arrested. This is on Sanford and Son, right? And somebody who didn't get arrested had to get called because they're the ones that had the writ of habeas corpus. This is on Sanford and Son. Somebody had the writ of habeas corpus. So the jail people got to make the call to the person who had the writ of habeas corpus to bring to the jailhouse so they can get free. He saw that on Sanford and Son. And, you know, obviously, you know, it's Asiatics that were locked up and whatever. So, right? Same thing Moore's been telling people. But, nah, that's just TV show or whatever. Sanford and goddamn Son. Chapter 7. Among the priests of Jagannath was one who loved the Jewish boy. Oh, so he wasn't Christian. So, you know, you could let them know. Yahshua wasn't Jew, Hebrew, whatever. He wasn't Christian. Lamas Brahmas was the name by which the priest was known. One day, as Isa and Lamas walked in the plaza, Jagannath Lamas said, now, quick point for all the fakers, right? For all the fakers out there. Notice that the Circle 7 that Malachi York put out says Isa. Why does it say Isa for? Oh, because he's training you to get rid of the brainwash to think that that guy's name is Jesus. Why? Because that's how Noble Drew Ali taught the Moors. Don't play, handout with your people. Tell them the truth so they can be free. Tell them the truth so they can be free. Told them in their own stuff that it's Isa. You can't nobody know Jesus in the Nubian Holy Quran of the Moor Science Temple. right? He wasn't playing secret. Told them, Isa, this is Dr. York L, not the fake guy that they were parading around, right? Just like the fake lady that they're parading around called Pilar Sanders and nobody called that. That ain't nobody. That's a card. That's a piece of paper. There's nobody called that on the planet. That's artificial. There's nobody called Malachi York. There's no individual being called that. That is a fiction. And all these fakers chose to side with the fiction. Fiction got arrested. Fiction went on trial. Free the fiction. Stupid. When he put out a Quran for you to know what the hell nationality and birthrights is. My Jewish master, what is truth? And Isa said, truth is the only thing that changes not. In all the world there is two things. The one is truth, the other falsehood, and falsehood that which seems to be. Now truth is aught and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is aught, and yet it is the manifest of right. Whatever has been made will be unmade. That which begins must end. All things that can be seen by human eyes are manifest of aught, are not, and so must pass away. The things we are but reflexes just appearing, while the ethers vibrate so and so, and when conditions change, they disappear. The holy breath is truth, is that which was, and is, and evermore shall be. It cannot change nor pass away. Lama said, you answer well. Now what is man? And Isa said, man is the truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Man is the breath made flesh. So truth and falsehood are co-joined in him. And then they strive, and naught goes down, and man as truth abides. Again, Lamas asks, what do you say of power? And Isa said, it is a manifest, is the result of force. It is but naught, it is illusion, nothing more. Force changes not, but power changes as the ethers change. Force is the will of Allah, and is omnipotent, and power is that which manifests directed by the breath. There is power in winds, a power in the waves, a power in the lightning stroke, a power in the human arm, and power in the eye. The ethers, because these powers to be, and thought of Elohim, of angel, man, or other things, other thinking things, directs the force, which it has done its work, the power is no more. Again, Lamas asks, of understanding, what have you to say? And Isa said, it is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of the ought and of the not, of falsehood and truth. It is the knowledge of the lower self and the sensing of the powers of man himself. Again Lamas asks, of wisdom, what have you to say? And Isa said, it is the consciousness that man is ought, that Allah and his man are one, that naught is not, that power is but illusion, that heaven and earth and hell are not above, around, below, but in, which in the light of aught becomes not, and Allah is all. Lamas asks, pray, what is faith? And Isa said, faith is the surety of the omnipotence of Allah and man, the certainty that man will reach deific life, the certainty that man will reach deific life. The certainty of that, which brings me to make sure you go, if you got Netflix or whatever like that, make sure you get on the Fringe, watch Fringe, so you could realize that the good doctor, Kabahaya Watha Kamin, when we brought him here, people like to do lectures and all this stuff. When we brought so-called Booker T. Coleman, the fiction, there's nobody named Booker T. Coleman around here, right? Kabahaya Watha Kamin, the Moor, that we brought here, did a lecture called Science is Seen Spirituality, and Spirituality is Unseen Science. What's Fringe telling everybody on the show? All the religion crap that these people are talking about, and all the high spirituality, yoga and all whatever, holy breath, breathing, vibration, laws of the universe, all that is one thing. It ain't no different. And on the episode of Fringe that we're watching, they had some brainwashed girl, and they were giving her psychedelics. They were giving her psychedelics, right? Mind-altering drugs or whatever, LSD and whatever else stuff that they want to make up. Giving this stuff to this girl so she can open her fifth, sixth, and seventh chakras so she can see God. That's what they were working on Fringe. TV show, everybody. Go ahead, TV show. Certainty that man will reach the perfect life. Whether you use LSD, whatever, you want to do blunts, you want to go to a liquor store, buy Ciroc and whatever else, and get smashed. Whatever it is that you do, it's going to put you face to face with God at one time. And it's, are you going to be smart enough or open enough or have enough common sense to realize, oh, damn, I just saw God, and change stuff around? Or, try again. You know what I mean? And end up in some bathtub, something like that, on the news about you overdose. So, the certainty that man will reach deific life. Salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of men to the heart of Allah. It has 3 steps. Belief is first, and this is what man thinks perhaps is truth. And faith is next, and this is what man knows is truth. Fruition is last, and this is man himself the truth. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition, faith is lost. And man is saved when he has reached deific life, when he and Allah are one. That's the lessons that Noble Drew Ali was bringing to the Moors, so that they can wake the hell up and realize that it's all about you if you want to get stuff done around here. Don't worry about waiting on anybody to do anything. Either you're going to do it or it ain't getting done. Simple as that. Either you're going to experience it or there will be no experience. That's what it is. You're going to wait for somebody to do something, then you're already lost. You're already going to repeat the cycle, welcome back, Carter. You'll be here again. Do this madness all over again. Just because you don't want to reach deific life when you have the chance. You want to get caught up in the crap. So we go to Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myth, Book 1, and I think there's 4 books in this. Malik H. Jabbar, The Biggest Lie Ever Told, author of The Biggest Lie Ever Told. I'll go to a quote from that book, The Biggest Lie Ever Told. The seasons of the year commence on the following dates. Each year: March 21st, spring; June 22nd, summer; September 23rd, fall; December 22nd, winter. The key to the connection between the sun god and the Son of God is the number 3. The Bible is replete with verses stating that the major sign for identifying the Son of God is that he would lay in a grave for 3 days and then be resurrected, born again. So, repeat game. The idolaters or nature worshippers practice a variety of pagan rituals that culminated each year at the dawning of the winter-type weather on December 25th. They celebrated this day as the day of the birth or resurrection of the sun god. The sun is symbolized as a god under many different titles within many different cultures: Egyptian, Greek, Roman, and Aztec, etc. They actually looked upon December 25th as the day when the sun was born anew, resurrected into new life. This ritual worship of the resurrection birth of the sun god on December 25th, or its equivalent, goes back thousands of years into prehistory. Letting it know, putting it out there. primary motivating factor that inspired early man to worship God was his fear and dread of the potential fierceness of his environment. His major impetus to worshiping and sacrificing to the sun god was to assure that the sun god would continue protecting mankind from the ravages of the dreaded winter. So for primitive man, the inception of winter, December 22nd, was the worst day of every year for him. This day marked the beginning of the worst stage of his yearly struggle for survival. This day was the harbinger of his potential perdition. This day, December 22nd, is referred to by astronomers as the winter solstice. The word solstice, according to our dictionaries, means to stand still, pause, a turning point. When our ancestors spoke and wrote of the resurrection of the sun, they meant exactly that. It did not refer to a person, but to the solar sun. But when the priesthood founded and established Christianity, they changed the sun to son. The priesthood told the idolaters of the Son Christ of the priesthood told the idolaters that the Son Christ was born on December 25th, just like their sun. They told them that the Son son had been dead in a grave for 3 days and then was resurrected, revived, and ascended to heaven upward, just like their sun. The masses were unlettered, superstitious, and dependent upon leadership and guidance of the priesthood. Right? And at that point, we're going into our good friend, our boy, Constantine, who him and his crew started up this myth based on our sciences that we've been doing, as brother said, for generations. And all that stuff that we've been doing for generations, all that culture was compacted, right? And put and presented to the people as more science, which is what they never told anyone. Because you don't need nobody to tell you, because prophet came and told you. Now listen to him. All these studies that we've been doing, all these different schools of thought that we've been going to are all more science. All of it. Every single bit of it. The Negro, black, colored, whatever, the advancement of the, improvement of the Negro, and all these things that we've been following ever since we came into some sort of consciousness that we're not just slaves that, Europeans could just whip and hang on trees and all that. All of it. Every school of thought that we went to. Right? And because of the law of retribution that all these dirty Moors learned about, that's why they put all the information out. That's why there's a Circle 7 Quran that Malachi York put out. Right? There's a Circle 7 Quran that he put out. Doc. Right? He put out his own Circle 7 Quran for his followers. And that just became lost. And then you got all these 99 other books that he wrote that everybody has access to. And you go ask them Nuwapians, just go ask them, hey, where's you guys Circle 7 Quran? You guys got all these other books up in here. How come you guys aren't repping the book that your so-called head put out, that was put out by Noble Drew Ali before he was even born or whatever? Why is he putting that out? How come he's putting that out? How come he's taking it onto himself to say, I'm going to put out a holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America? I'm going to put one of those out. I could put out my own books about whatever, but nobody else is worthy enough for me, an author of 99 billion books. Nobody else is worthy. The only person who's worthy for me to plagiarize or copy their stuff, put out something that they put out, is Noble Drew Ali. And you don't think something's up with that? You don't think that he had a little bit more respect and honor for Noble Drew Ali that he let on? If he's going to put out his book? But nah, y'all be fakers. Come to the Moorish Science Temple, right? That good Moors established out here. Active Moors. True Moors. Faithful Moors to the Prophet. Not faithful to Kudro and all that crap, Grand Sheik crap and all that. It ain't about that. There's Moors in the temple that got more knowledge than Kudro, if you really want to know. There's Moors in the temple that got, in Canaanland temple, that got more knowledge than Kudro. That could be Grand Sheik up there. They have Kudro take a backseat like old Moors, right? But there's allegiance around here. There's code of the streets around here. So we understand that there's an order. And it's bigger than Kudro. This is about what Noble Drew Ali did for the Moors. You know how you know Moors? You know how you know like true Moors? Moors that you can trust and stuff like that, right? When you know true Moors and Moors that you could trust, when they put out books or whatever, profits up front. They're not putting themselves on no cover, right? You know, they're not putting themselves on no cover of nothing. They have the profit up front of their stuff. They have the profit up front of their stuff. That's how you know Moors that are for the profit, that you better listen to these Moors, right? And I'm not talking about fake page Moors, call themselves L whatever, and then they got a picture of the prophet, but they're telling you crap about naturalize, and they're telling you all this other crap about you don't know what you're talking about, why you're talking about, and then you click their video list and they have nothing up, and they just got a site for 5 years. They have a YouTube channel that they never put up one video, but you got a picture of the prophet on there. You playing around talking about people aren't doing and people shouldn't be doing something. All dirty Morris time. Time's up. You guys' time's up. You guys' time's been up. What are you still hanging around for like somebody wants y'all around? We're not backing you guys anymore. Right? And it's good too, Islam to Brother Dolo for putting the article out there. That even the Prophet had to deal with some of you dirty Moors. Get Moors out the way, trying to steal money and all this type of stuff. When Moors started stuff, you're the founder, you're gonna go rob from the founder of the stuff, jealous of his fame and nobility, and don't want to give honor. Just put out, let you know what Moors be putting out there. There's the first spot, Old Canaanite Temple. And, just so you can go get the book, Rami Salam El, Moorish Jewels, just so you can go get the book, www.newarkhistory.com, and you just go on that and hunt for this article about Noble Drew Ali on that website there. This is New York history website. They talk about Noble Drew Ali up in there. And then it's in this Moore's book, Rami Salam El. Go get the book, khalifamedia.com. IamHHtemple.org. Right? So we are going to read a little something out here because we're talking about our master teacher, Kabahaya Wanta Kamin. And there was something in here. There's something in here that he said that we'll just go to. Just to give you a little touch of what's in this so you can go get it. Stop fronting. You don't want to support Moors. You support all this other crap. But you don't want to support Moors. You cannot understand why we are in the position we are in today if you don't understand what happened in 1492. You cannot understand what happened in 1492 if you don't understand the Crusades. You cannot understand the Crusades if you do not understand the Moors. The very nature of the knowledge that the Crusaders, the Christian Europeans, not white man, not white man, the Christian Europeans got of the riches of the East. Why Columbus was on the seas in the first place hundreds of years later was because of what the Moors brought to Spain. You know what's up, honest to him. If you don't know who he is, I don't know how you wouldn't, but you know, Kabahaya Kamin, don't dare call him Booker T. Coleman because he's a Moor. You see his stance that he's in? Isn't that Moorish? Isn't that what Moors do? That's the black historian guy that people like to say the black guy, our black teacher, black history teacher. He's a Moor. Only Moors stand like that. That's not you just standing like that posing just because. Right? Moor. And wrote extensively and has mad information out there on the Moors. Don't want to back him. You know, go follow some black guys teaching you some black history stuff. Punking him. When he told you who you are, you don't want it. Punking the greats. It's all good though. Do your thing. Do your thing. Um, this one, honor this one of our Muslim sons, Peter Moon, Spandau Mystery. You know, we're gonna put some Europeans out there as well, so that you can know that everybody knows what's up and been telling people. Okay, and then once again, Noble Drew Ali on the cover. On the cover. Yeah, you got some Europeans on here, but just know Noble Drew Ali's on the cover. Right? Peter Moon, European. That if you go to willofalah.com, Iron Sheik 3, you could hear Brother Azariah talk about him going to the meeting where Peter Moon was there, dressed up like a Moor, right? Dropping stuff on them that they didn't even goddamn know about. And you know what, Azariah, those Moors are heavy. And European is dropping stuff on Azariah Bey. Yeah, he's a Moor too. All the occult stuff that he does, and you know, letting balloons go and rituals and you know, black magic and all that stuff. Azariah Bey is a Moor too. So don't get it twisted that, you know, Moors are only Muslims and Muslims or whatever like that. Forget that crap. Moors are everything. Right? So don't hate. Proclaim your nationality. Because time's going. Ark's been, y'all just looking at people pretending that they're not drowning. You're looking at people drowning, pretending like they're having dying, pretending that they're going to the store to go buy Jordans, pretending that they're not living in a real world. They're living in an illusion. If you have a nationality, you're on land. If you're a fraud, you're in the ocean, swimming, pretending that you're living, pretending that this is the life to live, floating in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, I'm just gonna go to McDonald's, or I'm just gonna go buy some Ital food and you know what I mean, some yam and oh yeah, you know, cassava and whatever like that. Oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna go and but you don't have nationality, living a fraud, living an illusion, sleepwalking, zombie, mental slave, mental Slavic, just walking around, bumping into stuff, going in the other direction, bump into something, going in the other direction. No direction whatsoever. Wobbly compass. So this is what he's talking about in his, you know, his book. found down the street. The individual on the cover. He's a real individual, but this is supposed to be a novel, story. Why do you put a real people on the cover if this is just, not real? So this is a letter to Heidi, Gretchen, and Colonel Mack. The most unsettling thing in this realm, and I feel that it is my sincere responsibility to warn you all for your own sake, is that the resistance to truth in your world is only amplified and intensified in this realm. The pain and emotions that go with this are even more heartfelt and dramatic on this side. This is hard to explain. The best I can do is give you the old saw, as above, so below. But that is also an understatement. My people, the Moors, were suppressed on earth, almost to the point where they have been forgotten. In this world, the bias and virulent activity against them is even more pronounced, perhaps because it is so clearly visible. In any event, I have learned a few things which I will pass on to you. I sincerely hope you I sincerely hope that you can look further into the information I present. It is important because it contains keys that can open more doors. Do with it what you can. The other side is far stranger than I ever imagined, no matter how I try to communicate it. This cannot be considered other than a garbled transmission when I put it into a form such as a letter. Please try to understand this. I will do my best. The first thing I would like to impart is how precisely accurate the practice of astrology is when it assigns Neptune as the planet and Pisces as the sign that rules the spiritual realm. The reason for this is that everything over here is like a big ocean. It seems that I am approached by many life forms that are akin to schools of fish. They move in patterns like fish. Some are predatory, and some are benign or even pro-life. There are various other factions as well. There is also a factor here that reminds me of binary digits. You know, the zeros, the ones that computers are made of. You can also call them yins and yangs if you want to. In this world, you do not have a body. Instead, you attract and assemble or assortment of characteristics. The best way I can describe this phenomena is, as I have said above, binary digits. If I had died by normal means, I might not be on top of things as I am now. I have seen many people, if they can even be thought of as people, who passed over and have been taken advantage of. Those who have recently passed are usually deluded as to what is going on, and they tend to ruin their new lives by associating too much with what they knew in your world. Too often, they are at the bottom of the food chain here. I am trying to be brief as possible so I can arrive at the major thrust of my communication, but you should know that General Wilson and I have had a very different experiences. We ascended together, but we have gone into two different directions. It is hard to hold on to the identity of my old body self, but I can hold on to some degree because I have a very specific purpose. For all the wisdom that I had acquired, particularly in the esoteric realm, I am surprised at how difficult it has been for me to negotiate the other side. Right? Awas is his name, is what he said as he produced a large black obelisk that was made of pure obsidian. Placing his hand across it and looking very proud, he said that his implement was the source of his magic. He then told me that he controlled the world. This time, however, he was referring to the world you live in. Nevertheless, it also applies here. As above, so below. He said that he had consolidated his power in the United States, which was not only the new Atlantis, but a part of old Atlantis too. He said that George Washington was his key in the initial struggle for power in the United States. I personally found this intriguing because Native tradition has long recognized Washington as an indigenous person. I am referring not only to Indians but to the Moors. The tribal chiefs always recognized Washington as having Moorish blood. Did you ever notice that there is no white people named Washington? They all seem to be black because the name Washington derives from the Moorish Washita Empire, who are recognized as the oldest indigenous people of the earth. Place names like Wichita are also named after them. This is a European now, letting you know everything that you need to in this little book that he has called Spandau Mystery, Peter Boone. So some Europeans, they really want to help get this madness dealt with because they realize what's up. And they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. The key that we have to realize is that we have a prophet, and the prophet Noble Drew Ali was a reference point for us. We could talk about Prophet Noble Drew Ali, build shrines and places and statues and all that stuff in honor of him because he was that great. But the reality is the message that he brought. We don't worship him for all the haters, all the fakers that want to look at all Moors that say Noble Drew Ali as the same. We're not the same. There's dirty people over here that we don't associate with, that we have nothing to do with. Those people are on their own, right? Don't tell me about dirty Moors are the reason why there's black fezzes in the Moorish Science Temple, because Moors been had black fezzes before the Moorish Science Temple. So stop the crap. Stop backing agents, sellouts, who are documented sellouts, not even secretly, documented. How stupid do these people look? Negro, black, colored, whoever else out there dying in, marching in. That you're dying in, marching in, you're not gonna, this is to the world now. The people who are lying down in the street aren't gonna get a mic put in their face for them to say what, the situation is. Some agent, CIA, FBI agent, sellout, overseer, is who's going to have the opportunity to speak at the microphone. And instead of those people going up there and grabbing that guy down off the stage, podium, or whatever like that, kick his ass, and then send somebody up there who really knows what's going on to go talk, they're going to go dying. They're going to lie in the street. Just lie in the street. Just going to lie in the street. Now, everybody's just going to lie in the street. Okay, lie in the street. They chill there however long you do this thing for, because I don't do crap, right? Well, whatever, however long you're going to lie in the street, and then you're going to get up, and then you're going to go home thinking that you did something. Lying in the street. And still paying taxes to a foreigner. Still going to his job. Why don't you quit? Why don't you do, how about that? How about quit your job? How about that? If you want to, make a point protesting, whatever. How about stop them making fiat off you? But no, they're not going to do that. They're out there still, tomorrow, quote unquote Boxing Day, they're going to be out there, go get their sale on or whatever, get the sale stuff, you know what I mean? Right now, they're eating Christmas dinner right now, you know what I mean? Following this caveman, continuing to follow his culture, and then the caveman is trying to get down what the Moors are on. Caveman's trying to master himself so he doesn't be a caveman ever again. Caveman putting out more information than Moors putting out information. This is Intellectual Warfare, Jacob Carruthers. I mean, Islam to all the Moors in Louisiana too, because a lot of this stuff that we're going through today is from Nubian Culture Bookstore. So make sure you go check them out. Nubian Cultural Center. We're just gonna hit this up. The Frankfurt Model. It is in the context of this tripartite framework that the Frankfurts compare the four civilizations. Within the first category of mythopoeic thought, they place Mesopotamia, Egypt, and primitive cultures, including modern savages, right? European always trying to get in on there. The Frankfurts note that a great variety of attitudes and outlooks are possible. Page 364. Among cultures characterized by mythopoeic thought, they point to a they point to a thorough contrast between the Egyptian and Mesopotamian views as to the nature of the universe in which man lives. The result is that Mesopotamians express a haunting fear that the unaccountable and turbulent powers, i.e. gods, may at any time bring disaster to human society. The second category of the Frankfurt scheme concerns the Hebrews and Greeks. Each group broke with the mode of speculation which prevailed up to their time. According to the Frankfurts, the dominant tenet of Hebrew thought is the absolute transcendence of God. This means that the Hebrews, with their infinite moral courage, transcended the ancient myth of immanent Godhead and created the new myth of the will of God. For the Frankfurts, this doctrine, which enabled the Hebrews to leave the realm of mythopoeic thought, represents a high degree of abstraction. This reading also claims that man is not merely the servant of God, as in Mesopotamia, nor was he placed, as in Egypt, as a preordained station in a static universe which could not be questioned. On the contrary, man was the interpreter and the servant of God. The task of bringing about the realization of God's will. Thus asserts the Frankfurts, not cosmic phenomenon, but history itself became pregnant with meaning. History had become a revelation of the dynamic will of God. This characteristic led to the Frankfurts to conclude that although it is possible to detect the episodes of Egyptian and Mesopotamian beliefs in many episodes of the Old Testament, the overwhelming impression is one not of derivations, but of originality. The Frankfurts turned to the characterization of the Greeks by asserting that it remained for the Greeks, with their peculiar intellectual courage, to discover a form of speculative thought in which man was entirely overcome. The comparison begins with the observation that the Greeks recognized that man contains a divine and immortal spark, and thus they place man closer to the gods than the Egyptians or Babylonians had ever done. From this posture, the Greeks produced a number of secular or private thinkers who, according to the Frankfurts, were freed from the responsibility of concern with spiritual matters. This freedom allowed them to search for an origin of the universe, which was not based on myth. In other words, the Greeks asked for the immanent and lasting ground of existence, which transfers the problems of man in nature from the realm of faith and poetic intuition to the intellectual sphere. The Greeks hold that the universe is an intelligible whole. Thus, adhering to this analysis, the Greeks presumed that a single order underlies the chaos of our perception, and furthermore, that we are able to comprehend that order. The Frankfurts point out that this type of speculative thought, this type of speculative thought is called logos by Heraclitus. They suggest that reason is the best translation of logos. Completing their analysis, the Frankfurts proclaim that it is this tacit or outspoken appeal to reason and to independence from the pre-descriptive sanctities of religion which places early Greek philosophy in sharpest contrast with the thought of the ancient Near East. No. Noble Drawley made references to do whatever the brothers from the East, right? When we pray, face the East. All these concepts that Noble Drawley brought, this um, this multitude of layers that only if you study what Noble Drawley brought will you be able to recognize all these different layers that are playing on at the same time in Moorish science among the Moors, as everybody out there has a single layer calling that the thing that of what it is, whether it's their religion, their way of life, their spirituality, their whatever. They have one layer. We have all layers in this. We've been given every single key that it takes to unlock every single door with regard to reaching deific life as Moors by the guidance of the teachings that Noble Drawley laid down for us to have to save ourselves. Right? Another point that they made, reason, the ability to think for oneself, be independent. Think for yourself. Like really, take what Noble Drawley gave you and think for yourself. Because this really is your birthright. It's not anybody else's to govern and tell you how to run it. You run it how you see fit. That's your birthright. You know, middleman and all that stuff. Ain't nobody coming to help with anything. Either you're going to do it or it's not getting done. Simple as that. Either you're going to manifest your will, as Noble Drawley taught the Moors to do, or nothing happening. Just like he said, know your higher self and lower self. You know, if you don't want to know your higher self, then hey, you know what I mean? Lower self reigns. And if you don't want to know your lower self, then hey, higher self reigns. There's no middle ground. Think for yourself. Noble Drawley told the Moors, think and save yourself. Real simple. Real simple. Everything's been laid out. And when you check the play, everybody's also told us. Go read the early stuff, Elijah Muhammad, Fard Muhammad, they talk about Noble Drawley. We'll talk about Marcus Garvey. He was writing for Deuce Muhammad Ali. Same name as Noble Drawley. Fezan. Fezan, all the time. Marcus Garvey's teacher was a Moor. His teacher, the person who put Marcus Garvey on, was a Moor. Everybody red, black, green flag wavers, right? Everybody's repping Garvey. Everybody want to honor him. The breeze blow, oh yeah, that was Marcus Garvey in the whirlwind or whatever. But you're not going to get down with more science. When the more Deuce Muhammad Ali is who brought up Marcus Garvey. Deuce Muhammad Ali gave Marcus Garvey knowledge of self. He didn't do that on his own. When you read stuff about Garvey today, oh yeah, you know, Garvey is the man. Somebody put him on. And it was a Moor that put him on. But nobody want to recognize. Want to play games. Keep playing. Because the Europeans not easing up. As you see. You know what I mean? As you see. Europeans taking out Europeans. You don't have to go take out no Europeans. They'll do that on their own. We got other nations out there saying they want to get Europeans off the planet. We don't have no enemy that's a European as Moors. Our enemy is Moors. Our enemy is dirty people who want to play this game like we don't have a birthright. Who want to play this game like we can. It doesn't matter what we call ourselves. You know what I mean? So they can get TV shows and whatever like that, abuse children and all this type of stuff, and continue with the fraud. Denationalize children on national TV, and everybody just waiting for the applause button to get pushed so the light could go off so the freaking the zombies could applaud, right? All these zombies. But more telling me today that you go check all the newest albums that just came out. All these people who we say are, yeah, hip hop, whatever, blah blah blah, right? All these people, and then Nicki Minaj album is the best out of all these albums that just came out. People who we say are, old school or whatever. Nicki Minaj album. More. Than Nicki Minaj. Like, she put out an album to go listen to actually. Right? Freaking Nicki Minaj is trying to bring hip hop back. Lil Wayne's the Zulu Nation. Lil Wayne's in Zulu Nation? You don't think something's going on? Like Lil Wayne's Zulu Nation. You don't think a shift's going on? 50 Cent giving all this fiat to all these African countries or whatever like that. Guilty. Guilty. Done made all these people kill each other talking this stud crap. Now he's guilty, law of retribution, and he's giving fiat away to the point where they're freezing his account so he can't give away fiat. They froze his account because he can't give away fiat. He's giving away fiat to African countries, buying them whatever. What you guys want? Just say what you want. Where you want? Okay, write check, bam, pay for it, done. You go deliver the stuff. Everybody's coming around. Freeway Ricky Ross coming around. You gotta realize what's up. Realize, damn, like, it's really about mental slavery. We're using the music. And now all these people talking about the stuff that I was doing as what it's about. Get money and whatever. It's not about that. It's about knowledge of self. It's about knowledge of self. And the direct plug-in to knowledge of self is more science. Forget all those other plugs that you could check out, try stuff. Okay, let's try this, see whatever. Don't be just plugging into stuff right now. Nobody really laid something down since 1930. Nobody could refute yet. I don't care how much Moors get arrested. How about talking about the Moors who beat tickets? How about talking about the Moors who got kicked out of prison? How about talking about the Moors who talk about the Moors who just recently used nationality card to get on a plane? No passport. How about that? Recently, in the last 2 weeks, Moor called me, got on a plane with a nationality card. On and off. No hassles, no worries. How come? Because on right now, active Moors, Everybody's talking crap. Oh yeah, see, we know that RV-based stuff doesn't work. See, Pilar Alday got arrested or whatever. I told you that more stuff don't work. But how come they're not talking about that? How come they're not talking about that the sheriff, so-called sheriff or whatever, right? So-called sheriff of that spot, released her a day early. How come they're not talking about they released her a day early? How come that's not in the news? That they released her a day early. How come she got released a day early? Oh, because some more put on Facebook the phone number of Collin County, wherever they're holding her, and told Moors call there. And all these Moors start calling this corrupt county, and they got her out of there because these guys are sick and tired. They're complaining to their supervisor, sheriff, whoever, lieutenant, superintendent, complaining about how come there's all these calls coming in for this individual here. We're not message takers. And what are they gonna do? Change protocol? Yeah, change the protocol. Get her out of there. Didn't even keep her 7 days. And that's inside information because those people know what's up. They know what's up, right? They know exactly what's up. They know what the deal is. They know when Moors do something, it's different than Negro black color people doing stuff. Because once Moors do it, now you have international issues now. It could be that serious if they take, oh, that guy's a Fezon. Forget that, he's faking or whatever. Maybe he's not faking. He might really be a Moor who has some type of connection to somebody somewhere. It just might be a Moor who knows how to file a lien, have people quit their job and all that stuff, take leave all of a sudden because they got a lien on them because it's on right now. And the only real salvation is proclaiming your Moorish nationality. There's nothing else that you can do. Everything else is a fraud. Everything else is mental enslavement. Everything else is mental enslavement. Just like Moors tell me all the time from all over the country, whether it's by email or talk to me on the phone, that good thing for Moors like Taj Tariq Bey and Nature El Bey and Cujo El and Alim Bey and Sister Raz Mariah and Moorish Heritage and His School Blog Talk and all this stuff, so we could know the truth. Because if I didn't know the truth, I would have got gamed by some dirty Moors thinking that this is not my birthright. Moors all over the place calling to verify. Yo, thank you for putting out this information because I never seen so much dirty stuff before that I've dealt with looking for information. You go to Negro black color stuff, they just, whatever. You deal with dirty Moors, you're dealing with the top of the food chain sellouts and agents. You deal with top of the food chain sellouts and agents. You're dealing with the people who actually have sovereign power to create law. And they abuse that power. They're now they're gonna be in the jurisdiction, right, of so-called Texas. And they're not gonna help Pilar El Day because she's not a member of their temple. They're not gonna help her with whatever she's dealing with right now, that you know what she's dealing with. Moors telling her, oh no, we can't help because you're not a member of our stuff, so we can't help you. Right? We'll go back to 7 again. Let's hit up some more Noble Juali just so we keep them up front. Because you don't want nothing to come back to you because you didn't recognize and honor the prophet. Make sure you put them up front, because when it comes to what you get from the prophet is not cool. So watch yourself. Don't play with this. Chapter 25, because today is 25, we hit up the 7s, right? 7, 25, etc. Right? And also too, don't forget that we're not speaking about dirty Moors so people can look at this and say, oh, dirty Moors and that I don't want nothing to do with that. No. We're putting dirty Moors so that you can know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that Moors, dirty Moors, killed your prophet. Dirty Moors are why you're paying taxes right now. Dirty Moors are why your children are getting shot up in the street by each other. Dirty Moors are why that's going on. It's not a European. Don't worry about no European. He has his own issues to deal with. He doesn't have no time to worry about Moors. Only time he has to worry about Moors is when they come into their jurisdiction called courthouse, courtroom, administrative building, whatever fraud that they're running under that jurisdiction, right? The only thing they fear is Moors go in there and start talking stuff on records and all that stuff and walking around this place, giving out cards, telling them about how they can beat tickets. Because that's all they got left to rape Negro black colored people out here. If Negro black colored people stop going in them courts, this stuff's falling tomorrow. That's the only thing they got left to rape people. IRS and stuff not even working no more. Right? Because the Europeans already shut that down with their sovereign crap. Right? Europeans already shut them down. Right? And black entertainment guys who are dealing with IRS issues, that's their business. They're the ones that went and sided with that beast. Right? To get paid in fiat dollars when Constitution says gold and silver and you should be getting paid in that if you're whatever. Right? So chapter 25. Because remember, the Moors have obligation to each other. So Islam to all the Moors that made the call. All the Moors who didn't make the call, some sorry ass Moors. Sorry Moors. If you haven't done anything to assist anymore, if you have knowledge that, hey, I can beat tickets, and you never told no Moors about that, Negro black colored people about that, you never give them no opportunity to try this thing out to see if this is legit so they can get down on this, you never put out anything saying that you beat a ticket or whatever. You just held that to yourself, like you're, oh yeah, almighty. You didn't do like Dolo and put out a book showing you the letter from the judge that says, you guys leave this Moor the hell alone, right? He's a bae. Leave him alone. And you never talk about it? Forget you dirty Moors, sorry ass Moors, because we have an obligation to our brothers and sisters. Too many Moors call me about, yeah, I saw the Moor, and then he didn't tell me nothing about anything that you're telling me. What do you mean? He's Moor. You're not supposed to hold this back from people. They're supposed to get everything. Let's give it to them. Every single Moor out there that had this information and didn't do with it what Noble Drew Ali said, uplift fallen humanity. Dirty. I don't care you have fez on or whatever like that, you're dirty. They smell you from all the way over here. And all you guys' time is up. Because the new Moors, eyes wide open, seeing and knowing, key. New Moors with eyes wide open. All those Moors know who they are. Whether they're in South Africa, oh yeah, just so you know, there's Moors out there. Just so you know, there's Moors, not South Africans in Africa or whatever. There are Moors that are in that jurisdiction of South Africa that know that they're Moors. And they're exercising as Moors. In South Africa, they're not saying they're African. They're saying they're Moors. Right? How is it? Islam to Brother Sabir. Always, using his whatever God gave him, that he's sitting with Stevie Wonder and stuff like that. We grew up on listening to records our parents play. A Moor is sitting down with Stevie Wonder, having dinner. A Moor who we know that has a radio show. You're sitting down with Stevie Wonder. You're not sitting down with some nobody. Stevie Wonder. You don't think that's like this freaking gigantic? Moors are on Oprah. You have people talking about El Day on Oprah TV, thinking that they're doing something negative to the Moors. When no, there ain't no such thing as negative publicity. Forget negative publicity. That's an illusion. It's publicity. South Africa, there's Moors. People who call themselves Moors, just like the ones who are over here in Northwest Amexem that say that they're Moors, Honor Noble Juali and all that. There's people like us in South Africa. There's people like us in Germany. What are people waiting for to get down with this? What are they waiting for? Some sellout leader to come say, yeah, you know, that's like you have, we all know, right? We all know. Most Def and doing all these movies or whatever, right? All this music, okay? He proclaimed his name, his free national name, right? He has a wife, who I think is even from here. He has a wife that's in South Africa. She's going on the radio talking about she's in a cab and she's telling the driver who's from there that she's more, and he's like, oh yeah, I know so. Over there, he knows about the Moors in South Africa. Like not even like surprised. You know, they're not even surprised. He just knows about the Moors. And you want to get down with this? And then people who got this are playing games, not putting it out there. Well, yeah, Islam to Hannibal Bay as well for, doing like Pops, putting the stuff out there. Doing classes with Moors on a one-away, keeping out of the public crap, Ustream and all that stuff. You forget all that. We're gonna do some personal classes so that these little pockets of Moors, right, are getting this information for real, for real. Don't but like there's Moors out there who are they have personal private classes with heavy Moors. Personal private, invite only classes. There's that stuff going on right now. Invite only. Because people are on this so hard. Right? Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, chapter 25, the Holy Quran of the Moor Science Temple. We are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of love, of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brother, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and refer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brethren is in adversity, assist him. As for all the dirty Moors in Canaanland, all the dirty Moors who had issues, dirty Moors getting stranded in Jamaica, who they call? Cujo. You get help so we could get back home or whatever, you know? What are you doing over there, dirty Moor? Well, just got caught up something. All the Moors, few Moors stepped up, brought the Moor back into the country. Got caught up, stranded in Jamaica, can't come back here. Who they call? Cujo. Dirty Moor in Alberta, Nania Shabu El gets locked up. Who is it that his wife called? Before anybody else that they got numbers for. They're the sovereign grand of whatever, right? They can't even get themselves out of their own crap that they get themselves into. Who they call? Cujo. Cujo make some calls, help the Moor. What the Moor do? Go back, come back right back again, slandering, talking crap. When he came directly to us to get out of jail when he got kidnapped. Nanya Shabu El, same guy talking crap about Taj Tariq Bey. Same guy called Cujo when he got kidnapped. Go ask him. How come his wife called me? How come his wife called me? Why his wife called me and not call nobody else? All these people out here that they know, they say that they're sovereign, this and that. But they're calling Cujo, little old Cujo, who's the agent, that work for police and all that, works for CAS, calling CAS on baby mothers and stuff like that. They're calling me to get them out of their crap that they got themselves into being agents. And, what do they do? Turn my back on them? No. Help them. You know what? Why not? I mean, Moors all over the place, locked up. Who they sending mail to? Cujo. Yeah, we've been sending mail to all these Moors. Temples that we join, we've been sending mail to. We can't get reply from them. And at least you can send us a Quran, send us a 101, send us whatever. Right? Move 9, who move 9? Send all the people in move 9 letter. Who they all write back to? Cujo. Hey Cujo, thanks for sending a letter. Your letter made our day, week, month, year, whatever. Chief Malik locked up Supermax prison or whatever. Who are you sending letters to? Cujo. If your brother in his adversity, assist him. It's the obligation. That's what Moors have to do. Don't worry about who's getting what and who's this and what's cost for that or whatever. We're Moors. We don't got each other's back. Then who has our back? Anybody? And then how I get paid back? I get paid back because Moor just says, hey, Moor that you got something, whatever, and whatever. So, I can build websites. So I just build a website for you so you can sell your music and do whatever, because you do work out here. Oh yeah, sure, whatever. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm not updating nothing. Oh no, don't worry, I'll take care of all that, whatever. Why? Right? Do good, and stuff come back to you. You don't need fiat. You don't need fiat to do. Oh yeah, do good. I wish $1 million. I wish a money bag falls off a truck because of all this good that I do. I hope I get this grant because, oh my gosh, we're doing so much good and so much other good stuff going on. All these artists around here, graphic designers, whatever, assisting the Moors. People who got whatever they got, sending stuff in the mail, books, hats, t-shirts, whatever. Just because there's a holy covenant of the Asiatic nations that some people really abide by. And there's Moors. When I'm in adversity, I could call them. And they'll be like, yo, whatever. Like, hit me off with whatever it is that I need, just because we're Moors. Faithful Moors. True Moors. Moors that's down with Noble Jwali know what this is. You're not playing games out here. Right? This is real. People could see that, this is real. You think we're opening for Ghostface because this is not real? You think Moors opening for Most Def and Killer Priest or whatever just because? You think we're just doing some shows, do some crap? The Moors time right now. It's not a secret anymore. Man sitting with Stevie Wonder, Sabir Bey. Everybody knows Sabir Bey. How come 5 million people didn't like that picture of him sitting with Stevie Wonder when everybody who says that they're Negro, black, colored, whatever they call themselves knows Stevie Wonder? Everybody knows him. And he's sitting there having dinner with a Moor that we all know is a Moor, proclaimed, been a Moor, doing all this type of work to get information out about nationality, birthrights, that, legal stuff is fake. Forget all these attorneys, forget all these whoever that they say they're government or whatever. He's talking about all that stuff on his radio show, but he's sitting down with Stevie Wonder. You don't think Stevie Wonder knows about this fraud and all this going on too that we're talking about? You really think he doesn't know? You really think that, he just made a song about Moors called Misrepresented People? Even the title of the record, Misrepresented People. Then he's talking about the Moors in the song. He just did that just because. You know what I mean? come he did that? How come Michael Jackson changed his name to Mikael and then they assassinate him? Why change his name to Mikael? Why? Why of all names? Mikael. And that's how it's pronounced. Mikael. That's what Michael Jackson proclaimed his name to. Michael Jackson. Everybody knows him. He was down. Michael Jackson. Everybody had the glove, the jacket, right? He proclaimed his nationality. They put in the goddamn newspapers about he converted to Muslim or whatever like that. He didn't convert to no Muslim. He proclaimed his nationality. Mikael. Go check all the evidence. Go check all the stuff, see how they pronounce his name. Mikael. Michael Jackson. And then you have Negro black color people pushing Farrah Gray. Pushing Farrah Gray. And then over here, you know, they're gonna honor Khalid Muhammad. But they're posting Farrah Gray stuff. When Farrah Gray is Khalid Muhammad's son who helped kill his own father, denationalize himself and all that, be Gray. You give up your free name of Muhammad, right? You gave up that to go be Gray. You don't think something's wrong with that? You don't think there's a snake in the grass? You don't think there's a snake in the grass? You're gonna go honor Khalid Muhammad, but his son, who denationalized himself, called himself some fraud name now. You guys following his crap because he's talking some black conscious crap. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. Right? Well, all those Moors in Texas can't help Sister El Day because she's not a member of their temple. Can't help her. You know, don't go now. It's too late now to go help because, you know, you already dropped the ball. Don't talk about do-over. Oh yeah, do-over, let me catch it next time. You dropped the ball, you dropped it. You guys have to stay on the bench now. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. That's from the prophet. So anybody talking about there's no unity amongst the Moors, they never read chapter 25. Because if they read chapter 25, they would know that there's unity amongst the Moors. They would know that there's unity amongst the Moors. Listen, there's Moors in South Africa right now watching this. There's no unity. There's Moors in South Africa. Across the Atlantic from where we are right now, there's Moors right now watching this. And there's no unity amongst the Moors. Right? Tuesday to Tuesday is 7 days. Tuesday to Tuesday is 7 days. Right? Monday, people getting released. Don't forget, it's not from the day that they get you. These people are scientists. Sheriff has a 7-point star for a reason. The pyramid on the dollar bill for a reason. And the reason is the Moors. Nothing else. That's it. Michael Jackson proclaimed his nationality to Mikael. He didn't call himself Jackson after that. assassinate him. James Trafficant came out, told people about the bankruptcy. Well, how come? Because of the Moors, because of Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali bankrupted the United States Corporation in 1933 by giving the Moors back their birthright, that they're not Negro black colored, which was the commodity, which was the product that kept the democracy alive until 1933 when they went bankrupt. You already know that all presidents and all that had slaves and all that. So they were like, that was the property. That's how they lived. Made us build up their stuff. Made us build their stuff up. Is what they did. We are in the position right now, right, to rule this. Right? We're in the position right now. Just so you know, right? Just to put it out there, right? Canaanland Moors, for all the Moor haters who want to talk crap, for all the Moor haters who want to think that this is a joke out here, Canaanland Moors have their own director, general, minister, whatever, of land and transport. We have our own individual that deals with our land and transport affairs in this jurisdiction. That we have our own stuff. That we don't need to go out there and get licenses and plates and whatever from the corporation. We have our own stuff. It's not for niggers, blacks, and coloreds, though, and Nuwapians and black Asiatics, and Garveyites and Rastafarians. It's not for them, though. It's for Moors. It's for people who have allegiance to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and recognize that we have to be self-governing if we are going to be free. If you don't want to be free, then there's nothing over here for you. Noble Drew Ali is the prophet of the Moors that came to the Moors and told them the truth about their nationality and their birthrights, that they will know that they're not Negro, black, colored, whatever, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865. But this is a new era of time now. This is a new era of time now, and all men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live, so that you can stop the misuses, mistreatments, and abuses that we've been getting forever, how long we can count that we've been getting abused. And not getting it. Still missing the point. Always missing the point. Negro, black, colored people, and Moors included. Because there's no way that you can know that you're Moorish American and you're talking about Moors have to naturalize. Moors have to be part of the temple to be Moors. Moors have to file a UCC1 birth certificate, whatever, to be Moors. Ain't Moors talking about that stuff and not giving you your birthright, lying to you about naturalization, that Kirkman Bay has some authority and all these other Moors have some authority or whatever, when there's one prophet and one temple and that's it. We're talking about Supreme Grand Advisor that they're honoring him on their website. They're holding that guy up higher than the prophet. They're holding up Fard Muhammad, all these people who are members and, bootlickers of the prophet. They honoring bootlickers, boot suckers, guys who used to lick the bottom of the prophet's shoe is who people are worshiping now. And they don't want to give honors to the prophet. when the guys that they're following used to lick Noble Drawley's foot bottom with their tongue, lick the bottom of his shoes. Right? Noble Drawley deserves supreme honors for bringing us out of mental slavery that we have now. Right? It's already been put on the record, but we just want to put it on the record again, right? So you can get the fullness, because we're never given the fullness, always given some illusion. Once again, Islam to the Moors in Northwest Amexem, caught in the jurisdiction of Louisiana, that corporate fraud out there. Once again, Nubian Culture Bookstore, honors to the Moors in Louisiana for making it manifest, because trust me, you already know what you did. An account of some of the principal slave insurrections and others which have occurred or been attempted in the United States and elsewhere during the last 2 centuries. Joshua Coffin, reprinted from the 1860 edition published by the American Anti-Slavery Society. So make sure you go look them up. Let them tell you. Don't forget, it's not the Black Anti-Slavery Society, the American Anti-Slavery Society. The American Anti-Slavery Society. Not the black, Negro, colored, whatever, slavery society. Right? Anti-slavery. Anti-slavery. Okay? This is the fullness. We've heard variations, parts, or whatever, but this is the fullness of what we've heard before. Right? This is the fullness. Sir, I believe that no cancer in the physical body was ever more certain, steady, and fatal in its progress than this cancer on the political body of Virginia. It is eating into her very vitals. And shall we admit that the evil is past remedy? Past remedy. So there's no fixing this problem that he's about to talk about that's coming up. Right? There's no remedy. Right? Shall we act the part of a puny patient suffering under the ravages of a fatal disease? Who would say the remedy is too painful? Pass as severe laws as you will to keep these unfortunate creatures in ignorance. It is in vain, unless you can extinguish that spark of intellect which God has given them. Sir, we have, as far as possible, closed every avenue by which light might enter their minds. We have only to go one step further to extinguish the capacity to see the light, and our work will be completed. They would be then reduced to the level of the beasts of the field, and we should be safe. I am not certain that we would not do it if we could find out the necessary process, and that under the plea of necessity. But, sir, it is impossible. And can man be in the midst of free men and not know what freedom is? Can he feel that he has the power to assert his liberty, and will he not do it? Yes, sir. With the certainty of times current, he will do it whenever he has the power. The data are before us all, and every man can work out the process for himself. Sir, a death struggle must come between the two classes, in which one or the other will be extinguished forever. Who can contemplate such a catastrophe as even possible and be indifferent? And that's from the Esquire, Henry Berry. Just look up Henry Berry, Virginia, and you'll know who that is. In an essay written by Judge St. George Tucker and published in 1796, he expressed similar sentiments in language equally forcible and concludes by saying, I presume it is possible that an effectual remedy for the evils of slavery may at length be discovered. Whenever that happens, the golden age of our country will begin. I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever, and that the Almighty has no attribute that can take sides with us in such a contest. The exchange of situation with slaves are the well-known words of Jefferson. In 1832, a general insurrection of the slaves occurred in Jamaica, when between 2,000 and 3,000 slaves were killed and a large number of whites. The loss occasioned by the rebellion was estimated at $5 million, a part of which was occasioned by the burning of 150 plantations. Now, the British West Indies are forever exempted from all danger of insurrection, while the danger of a servile war in America, will slavery is abolished, every year increase. In the month of June 1839, a vessel called Amistad, Raymond Ferrer captain, sailed from Havana to Principe, about 100 leagues distant, with 54 Negroes and 2 white passengers, Spaniards, Pedro Montez and Jose Ruiz, one of whom claimed to be the owner of the Negroes, who were all natives of Africa. While on board, they suffered much from hunger and thirst. In addition to this, there was much whipping, and the cook told them that when they reached land, they would all be eaten. This made their hearts burn. To avoid being eaten and to escape the bad treatment, they rose upon the crew with a design of returning to Africa. This was June 27th, 4 days after leaving Havana. After killing the captain and cook and permitting the crew to escape, they, under command of Cinque, who compelled Montez to steer the ship for Africa, which he did in the daytime because the Negroes could tell his course by the sun, but put the vessel about in the night. In this manner, the vessel drifted till about August 26th, when she was taken by possession of by Captain Gedney, U.S. Navy. After an interesting trial in Connecticut, the Negroes were set free, and under the American Missionary Association were sent to their native country Africa, and of whom many are now receiving religious instruction by means of missionaries who accompanied them to the Mendi country. So we're just reading that for all you so-called slaves in America that came from Africa. Your brothers, natives of Africa, who were on Amistad, didn't make it back, but in an interesting trial in Connecticut, the Negroes were set free, and under the American Missionary Association were sent to their native country, Africa. Sometimes Africa a country. Since when is Africa a country? If the American Missionary Association claimed jurisdiction of these Negroes after they were set free from being slaves, why did they help them get back to their country of Africa, because the country of Africa is really Morocco, Tunis, Tripoli, and all the places in the north that so-called Scipio Africanus and the crew, his father before him, conquered. And because they conquered the Moors of North Africa, Tunis, Tripoli, Morocco, Mauritania, etc., that jurisdiction was called Africa. That's why they were taken to the country of Africa. So if you're African, if you're from Africa, in actuality, what this is telling you is that you're from Mauritania or Morocco or Tunis or Tripoli or more. Right here. Slave insurrection stuff. Telling these people that they're Moors from Africa, the country of Africa. So there's no such thing as the continent of Africa, because Africa is really Asia. And the true and divine name of Africa is Amexem. And this is northwest Amexem. Then below us is southwest Amexem. And then over there is Amexem. And then above them is Asia, which also makes below Asia, Asia. And Africa is a country in between Asia and so-called, Africa, not the continent. So you got some more, you can go tell people, and then they can go research that, and they'll tell them the history that Africa is known for the northern part of that so-called jurisdiction across the Atlantic that everybody says they came from in slave or whatever. The top part of that is called Africa, historically. And that top version is called North Africa, who Jose Pimenta Bay and Ivan Van Sertima, Booker T. Coleman, who you know as, Kaba Hiawatha Kamin, right? All these Moors. Remember, Ivan Van Sertima is American. He's copper tone. He's from around here. He's from Amexem. Telling us our story. Kaba Hiawatha Kamin, telling us our story. Jose Pimenta Bay, telling us our story. And letting us know that the portion of Africa that people say they came from on slave ships, the northern part of that was ruled by the Moors. And any type of reference that you see identifying dark-skinned people as North African, they're talking about Moors. And remember, those so-called countries today are really what Africa is. The North African countries today is really what Africa is. The country of Africa. Africa is not a continent. Africa is a country. And that country is really made up of colonies called Morocco, Algiers, and Mauritania, and all these places on the northern. And we could even go as far as Nigeria, Ghana, and all those places, because when you do research on them, you find out that Islamic people founded Ghana and Nigeria and those places. People who honored so-called Muhammad and stuff like that, founded those places. Just to show that the presence of Islam, which is really Moors, so whenever you hear, just like whenever you hear North African think Moors, whenever you hear Islam in history, whenever you hear Mohammedan in history, Whenever you hear, you know, the Christians or the Crusaders or the conquistadors versus somebody else, Europeans versus somebody else, always know that they're talking about Moors, because that is the generic term. That's the generic term, right, for dark-skinned people, nappy hair, straight hair, big noses, little noses, big lips, thin lips, big heads, pea heads, long necks, short necks, wide shoulders, whatever. These individuals that are all the colors of olives are Moors. From dark to light to green, whatever, Moors. Telling on themselves, native country of Africa. And people think that we're just, we don't know what we're talking about. When we could always show documented facts of what we're talking about. Once again, wouldn't even got this far if it wasn't for a Moor again, right? One of the Moors in Louisiana had the book, and we just, building and pointed it out that everybody knows. It's not a secret. Pointed out to the book, and I'll put this up. Moore knows what's up, right? This is 100 years of lynchings. Ralph Ginsberg, okay? 100 years of lynchings. Once again, Nubian Culture Bookstore. We got it all up in there, right? November 25th, 1921. Lynch victim's father called to clear away son's ashes. This is how it is. Remember, 1921, right? This is around the same time. Linwood, when I traveled in the South and noticed the conditions of our people and realized that it's their fault why they're going through this crap. Not a European. They're ones that's calling themselves something that they're not Negro, black, color, all this crap. You calling yourself that stuff? You came back here immediately and told people, you're not Negro, black, colored, because you know what they're doing to people who say Negro, black, colored in the South? They're putting those people on trees or whatever. They're burning people alive. They're having parties, barbecues or whatever like that when they kill a Negro. That's what they're doing in the South. So you got to play around. Keep all yourself Negro, black, colored around here and not calling yourself Moors, and you got something coming. Nobody warned the Moors. Stop. Stop it since 1913. But nah, they don't want to stop it now. They get choked out on the corner. The children getting shot up by so-called security guards and all that. And they're playing around marching and picketing instead of proclaiming their nationality and start changing their mentality so their conditions out here can change. As a man thinketh, so is he. As a woman thinketh, so is she. So you want to think you're Negro black colored, then you're going to have Negro black colored conditions, which is what we're going through today because we don't want to recognize Noble Drew Ali and that he brought everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourself. Lynch victim's father called to clear away ashes. This is how they feel. This is how, not even how they feel, this is how they act. When people who identify themselves as Negro, black, colored, African, all this crap, all the fiction, you call yourself fiction, this is how they think about you. If you think you're that license, the name on that license, that's you, okay, this is how they think about you. That passport, the name on that, you think that that's you. Every time you look at one of them Europeans, when you show this thing as ID or whatever, know that this, what I'm going to read, is how they feel about you. Nothing personal, but if you don't want to get down with the prophet and at least have it here that you're not Negro, black, color, so even if you're given the card or whatever like that, at least you're not feeling guilty giving it because you know in your heart who you are and that this card doesn't represent you. This little book thing or whatever, it ain't who I am, but here, you get on this plane and go where I'm going, right? Know that this is their perspective. This is how they've been thinking. Since 1921, this is how they've been thinking. And once we don't change, Negro, black, colored, and all that stuff, we keep playing that game, following these agents, saying it doesn't matter what you call yourself orange, it doesn't matter, then you're going to find yourself in something that you don't want to be in. Either because you have a negative status, so somebody's going to take advantage of you, or because you went against the prophet and you're getting your retribution for going against the prophet that came for you to save you, and you don't even want what he's giving you. Okay, take these then. Take some of this stuff right here, right? And we'll probably close out with some of this, just so we can stress the point of how these people think. But this one right here, it gets to the point. If you don't get it after this, just like Juali said, you don't need to say nothing else. Helena, Arkansas, November 18th. After it had been hanged and cut down by one mob, and before it had been burned in a city hall bonfire by a second mob, the body of William Turner, Negro, age 19, was hauled through Helena to provide a moving target for white men armed with pistols who lined the principal streets of the town and took pot shots at it. At it. At it. Turner had been hanged earlier for allegedly assaulting a white telephone operator. Turner's corpse was roped to the rear of an automobile and driven up and down the main streets of Helena. At various speeds, mind you, as white men hooted, yelled, and perfected their marksmanship by shooting at the almost disintegrated remains. No colored folks were allowed on the streets. When the celebrants had their fill, the body was burned. August Turner, father of the mob victim, was summoned to the park to remove his son's charred remains. Summoned. You know what summoned means? Summoned. You know you get summons? Yeah, that lets you know that the court is a slave master, slave driver, colonizer, inquisitionist, letting you know their position. Summoned the father to come clean up its ashes. Not man, not human being or whatever. Negro boy, colored folks. It. Just like King Alfred told you. But nah, Moors just talking crap. They're European. This is their stuff. Right? This is their stuff. Letting you know. Letting you know just how their perspective has been and always will be once you identify yourself as Negro, black, colored, and you want to play this game. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. Cool. You be Negro, black, colored. This is the mentality that they have of those individuals. New Orleans Times, March 24th, 1900. Lynch Negro who testified for another Negro. Ripley, Tennessee, March 23rd. This morning in the heart of the city, the body of a Negro, Louis Rice, was found dangling from a limb of a tree. The lynching grew out of a trial in the circuit court. Circuit court. So you know which jurisdictions these people are using to do their crap, their fraud, in order to put you on the tree. Of Lauderdale County, during the course of which Rice testified in favor of one of his fakeness, one of his artificiality, one of his fraud, who was charged with the murder of a white woman named Goodrich. This is how they are. This is their mentality, yo. This is their mentality. Huntsville, Alabama. New York Herald, June 24th, 1900. Elijah Clark, a Negro, competitive team, 20 years old. Oh, 20 years old. Isn't that the same thing going on right now? Young guy shot, young guy. How come they're shooting all our children? Police shooting our children. Oh no, it's lynch mob. It's modern day lynch mob. You mental worms don't want to recognize. The same stuff been going on since the 1900s. Lynch mobs in uniform, just doing their job, getting rid of Negroes who are not protected by the supreme law of the land. And Noble Drew Ali said, enforce the supreme law of the land, and proclaim your nationality. Elijah Clark, a Negro, 20 years old, was lynched at 2 o'clock this afternoon by an immense mob of citizens of Huntsville and the surrounding country. Clark was about to be removed from the Madison County Jail to the courthouse for a preliminary hearing when the mob compelled the officers to give him up. The mob compelled the officers to give him up. Remember, this is talking about 1900. The only officer in the 1900s was the sheriff. Remember, there's no state police troopers and all that stuff. Sheriffs and deputies in the 1900s. Sheriffs and deputies were the lawful jurisdictions. Officers who have an oath to uphold and enforce the Constitution. And the mob, realizing that they have a constitutional obligation to protect the citizens from, insurrection and all that stuff, use their constitutional right to get the sheriff, whoever, to give up that Negro who was not a citizen to them, where they took him to the scene of his crime, hanged him, and riddled his body with bullets. Harvard professor favors legalized lynchings. Harvard professor. Oh, so yeah, they were down with all the Ivy League schools or whatever like that. All these guys with the sorority, Greek sorority crap. All them too, pawns, little puppets of their modern day mental slave masters. Detroit, December 29th. Professor Albert Brushnell Hart of Harvard College, speaking before the American Historical Association in convention here today, said that if the people of certain states are determined to burn colored men at the stake, those states would better legalize the practice. Right? For all you, come back again, sorority, whatever. All you Indiana Hoosier, you college basketball guys, you like college basketball? Your favorite team in college basketball or whatever? Okay. Hoosiers hang Negro killer. All basketball guys, you know, college basketball guys love to go play stuff, bet stuff and all that. Right? All those schools out there or whatever, forget the black schools. Talk about the European schools. The schools where they don't care about Negroes. The schools where you're on the team, you have your own locker across the field somewhere in the bushes. Your locker. Right? Because they don't respect Negroes, blacks or colored folks. Coroner's jury commends mob for cremating Negro. That's how they feel about Negro black colored people. You love to be, you love to be what you're not so much, right? March 14th, 1901, Corsicana, Texas. Corsicana, Corsica, Moors. Well, maybe there's a reason why they're going at Pilar El Bay so hard in Texas. If there's a place in Texas called Corsicana, Texas, and then she's saying that she's a Moor. She's saying that she's a Moor, and that her children are Moors. And there's a place in Texas called Corsicana, and there's something relative to Moors called Corsica. And Texas is really Mexico, and then Mexum and Mexico are relative. That they is naming South, Mexico is South, and then she's calling herself they. Maybe this is a lot bigger than people think that it is, playing around that they don't want to help the sister. Maybe it's a lot deeper than you think it is. And you need to get off your stupid high horse and do what it is that Moors are supposed to be doing to assist Moors. Maybe if you really for this and you're in the jurisdiction of the Moors who are doing their best to get these people their nationality cards so that they can, be free. Maybe you want to try assisting them so that more work can get done so people can get their nationality cards faster instead of waiting 3 months because there's only one person doing the job of a department. That these guys over here have a building and they got people giving them jobs or whatever to make cards, passports, whatever for the nation. But the Moors have one individual or four individuals that are doing this. And they're getting calls from Japan and South Africa or whatever about nationality cards, and then people are complaining about it's taking long for me to get my stuff because I said 5 months ago. How come they're not getting back to me? And maybe because they don't have enough staff. Maybe because 16 secretaries didn't show up for work. When Drew Ali told them was, the place is gonna be flooded when shit starts hitting the fan and people need their shit suit. Place is gonna be flooded. Everybody's gonna want shit suit. And you realize what's up. You're gonna need 16 secretaries to take down all these names of all these people lining up out the door talking about they want to be Moors now. All of a sudden, banging on the ark. Corsicana, Texas. Yeah, let's go check the record. Just Google it, see what comes up. Yeah, no more is already. No more is already. March 13th. John Henderson, the Negro, accused of murdering Miss Younger, was burned at the stake by a mob of 5,000 persons in this city today. He purportedly had confessed his guilt. Subsequently, the coroner held an inquest over his remains, and the jury returned a verdict commending the mob for its act of horror. Corsicana, Texas. Just remember, that was in Corsicana, Texas. And again, 100 years of lynchings. We didn't even get anywhere yet because that's how much years of lynchings they have documented fact that they did to Negroes, blacks, coloreds, and all these fake people who don't have nationality. And then there's no information at all about all the free people that were living up and down, not getting lynched, nobody not going chasing them down, nobody convincing somebody that, oh yeah, that guy did it, so we need to put him on a tree and all that stuff. It wasn't going on. It wasn't happening. Why? Once again, because in the North, remember, same time as all this slavery crap, what was going on in Harlem? Renaissance, which is North. And then if we relate that to the so-called continent of Africa, the North was where the Moors were. And then the Moors were the ones that were doing all the whatever. And then South, where it was hotter, with all these bush guys in grass stuff and huts and whatever like that. But then in the north, you have Mali and Shanghai Empire and all these type of stuff in the north. But in the south, you just have, the huts and stuff like that. And then in the south, you have all this Klansman stuff going on and Negroes living in huts and living in shacks and they're slaves or whatever. And in the north, you got ballers and pimps and gangsters and businessmen and Congress people and whatever that were Asiatics. It's time right now. We're there. We're there. That place, like me and some of the the older Moors that came in to the movement, you know, they would talk from the perspective of, man, I hope that, I don't die before I get to see it. See it happen. Well, it's happening right now. You didn't die yet. And it's going down right now. You're actually seeing what you wanted, what you willed that you would see before you die. That Moors come into their own. Moors start, you know what I mean? This is not just some little thing about 5 Moors know about this. Moors in Japan are on birthrights. Moors in South Africa, East Africa, West Africa. Moors in South America. Moors in European countries. Moors in the Caribbean islands. All these people waking up to the fact that they're Moors. They're not Negro black colored people. Why? Because of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Because Noble Drew Ali said that he's going to go to the soul plane to deal with this matter that he had to deal with. He said he was going to the soul plane to deal with this. You don't have to deal with this down here. He was going to the soul plane to deal with this because he can do better work from there than here. Why? Because dirty Moors. But don't worry, I came for the young and unborn generations. And new Moors are going to come with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing. And they're going to fulfill my law. And see all you old Moors in the back. Why? Because you've never been ready. You weren't with me then, and you're not with me now. But I'm on the soul plane. And I got my fingers like this from the soul plane, and I'm manipulating the ethers. And everybody's going to be on this nationality and birthright. Give this 2 more years, watch what's going down. If Stevie Wonder's sitting with Sabir Bey, trust me, stuff's going down. Michael Jackson proclaimed his nationality. Michael Jackson said he's Mikael. Go check. You know something's going down with regard to Moors. Forget all these Hebrew, Garveyite, black, Rastafarian BS. Forget all that crap. It's all about being on Moor science. If you don't want to be on Moor science, don't worry. 2 years from now, we're going to be telling you, I told you so. 4 years from now, we're going to be telling you, I told you so. 10 years from now, we're going to tell you, you should have been on this since 2007 when we came back with this to Canaanland. Now you guys want to get on this after you guys did dirty, went through the ringer. Now you're coming back around talking about, oh yeah, now we recognize what's up, you know what I mean? We repent our sins or whatever. Just get on the goddamn boat. Let's go. Like, you know what I mean? Because you can't take your nationality from you. Like, you can't take your nationality from you. It's yours. It's your birthright. Proclaim it. If you don't want to proclaim it, cool. It's all right. You know, at least, do like one of the Moors' moms. You know, steal his Circle 7. Steal his Circle 7. Moore has to come get a new Circle 7 because his mom stole his Circle 7. She's Christian or whatever. But oh, why you wearing that funny hat and all that stuff? But she got Circle 7 on a nightstand and she's reading that with her Bible next to her, you know what I mean? Comparing, see if it's legit or not. And she's not giving back the Circle 7. Islam told the Moors worldwide, peace and love and hotep. All the active Moors continue to be active. You know what I mean? I don't care what they're going to do. I don't care what they say. You stay on your square, right? Take note. You know, make sure you go check out Baba TV on YouTube and go watch Brother King Dolo, right? Go watch that brother, right? Continue watching Brother Dolo because The Moors are back. Continue supporting rvbaypublications.com, because that site ain't no joke. It's real serious. rvbaypublications.com, morriscivilletter.net. Don't sleep on morriscivilletter.net. Make sure you subscribe to the Masonic Gate newspaper. $1.50. You know what I mean? That's, you can afford that. $1.50 an issue. Right? Buy a bundle, $60. MorrisGuidepost.org. Don't sleep on Moorish Science Temple of America. Not all Moorish Science Temple of America are dirty Moors. There are Moorish Science Temple of America that are right and exact, just how Moorish Holy Temple of Science was, just like how Old Canaanite Temple was. Don't sleep, right? Don't sleep, because it's on right now. Islam to all the Moors, worldwide. We're dissolving, it's like the Moor said, we're dissolving the mental pollution of the Moors, right? We're dissolving the mental pollution. Everything's going to be put out. Don't worry. We got Moors on the front lines giving people this birthright back. Don't worry about dirty Moors that aren't whatever. We got those guys in the scope. They can't move. They can't move. Dirty Moors are stuck. They can't move. Right? All the Moors, faithful Moors that's been back in this. Islam, Islam, Islam. Peace Hotep. And don't forget all the Moors that's, getting out of here. Moors on the getaway. Make sure you go listen to the Mob Deep Getaway. Everybody just go listen to that and do your part. Do your part so we can keep this thing moving, right? And don't forget the babies. Islam to all the Moors that's bringing up their children on nationality and birthrights. Islam, making them have nationality and birthrights at birth, so that by the time they get our age or whatever, they own all this, right? Lawfully and legally. You don't need to prove anything. It's already been proven. And can't forget honors to Allah and honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for everything that Moors has done. That Moor did tremendous work for us to be where we're at right now 100 years later. So supreme honors to him. We'll just close out with the prayer. Islam to all the Moors, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Islam. And before I forget, today, Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, also known as the Circle 7, Intellectual Warfare, Jacob Carruthers. You can get all these through Nubian Culture, NubianCultureCenter.org, I believe is the website. But Nubian Culture, just look for their website in Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana. Nubian Culture Bookstore, Nubian Culture Cultural Center. Nubian Culture Cultural Center. Intellectual Warfare. They got books, they got clothes, shea butter, whatever, anything. Truth sticks, all that. Joshua Coffin, an account of some of the principal slave insurrections. All right, check that one out. That's a good one. 100 Years of Lynching. Ralph Ginsberg. Spandau Mystery. Peter Moon. All right, don't forget, that's how you know more is they got Noble Drew Ali up front. They're not playing around with this. Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myth, Book 1. Book 1. There's 4 of these, I think, or 6 or something like that. Malik H. Jabbar. And of course, last but not least, the good brothers, the good Moors out in Cali doing that work. Moorish Jewels, Rami Salam L. And you can go to khalifamedia.com or iamhhtemple.org. iamhhtemple.org. And also to Islam to Brother Supreme Design, Sister Supreme Design, whoever that is that did this cover, because this is this is it right here. Islam. Peace, love and hotep, honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We love you, and we thank you for everything that you did to bring us back into the truth about our nationality and birthrights. Peace, love, and hotep.